Welcome to Elaine Enlightenings's video blog number 28. Today we're on lesson 18 in A Course in Miracles, and the lesson itself is I am not alone in experiencing the effect of my seeing. I wanted to share a story of something that's going on in my life here recently, and I'll give a little background to it, and I'll use this to explain a little bit about the importance of this lesson. This is really cool for me to come back through the Course in Miracles after having done them in the past year, and then be able to have a little bit better understanding, of course, studying the actual Course in Miracles too, and seeing how the beauty of application of this into my life. Now, I did this as a result of the training that I received from my mentor. Erica Awakening created holistic belief reprogramming, and it's a powerful system that I have learned and practiced as a coach. And EFT, Emotional Freedom Technique, is a big part of this system. And so anyway, I wanted to share with you a story. So I wanted to apply it into this lesson today, because what you do is you take the phrase, I am not alone in experiencing the effects of how I see blank. And I wanted to put in there puppies. Okay, so as we've been going through the lessons, this particular one is a little bit different because we're not looking at the object and just how we see it, but we're looking at how, what we think about that. And we're still realizing that we don't see anything as neutral or unimportant. And this is really important because from the ego's perspective, we want to believe that the effects of our thoughts don't affect other people, and it's no big deal. You know, we can be judgmental or whatever it can be, and we can do it in our thoughts even, and it won't have an effect. So this lesson and all these lessons is playing a part in helping us to see that this is not true, that we do have an effect. So my story will help emphasize that point. So I talked about my puppies. Well, I worked really hard training my dogs so that they weren't little yappy, barky dogs. And I did this from a pack leader, dog whisperer type style, as I learned from Caesar Milan. And they're over 2 years old now. And everybody said they would find their bark, and they did, but I can always stop them from barking because they respect me, and they usually only bark at the front door if somebody comes to the front door. So it's not really been an issue. And I thought because I lived in a small, close-knit community here where there's a lot of people living close together, that people would really appreciate that my dogs didn't bark all the time. And so I have a neighbor though that lives really close to me, and as our house, we share a wall. And when my dogs would go out in the wintertime, because it was cold, I didn't have to worry about my poodles. They have hair and not fur, so they get cold really easily. They don't like to be in the cold, and they're inside dogs, so I don't have them outside except for walking purposes or to do their business. And I could let them go up on the hill behind the house because they were big enough and had been trained and they knew where to go and that kind of a thing. But the neighbor thought it was really fun and had actually expressed to me that they love to hear dogs bark. And so they would make noises on their windows and bark at my dogs through their window to get my dogs to bark. And the point of this is not to belittle my neighbors, okay? Obviously that's not the point, but to be really authentic about my perspective here. So this created some irritation for me. And I wasn't honest with them when she told me this, that she liked making my dogs bark, and was actually standing there stomping at my dog and clapping to get my dog barking while I was outside. I was kind of in shock, honestly, and I just got tongue-tied. And that's my responsibility to step up to the plate, right, and be really honest. And I just didn't at the time, and I still haven't ever gone over and said, you know, please don't do that. But I had gone out and corrected my dogs, got them to stop barking, and moved them away so that their visibility wasn't with the window. I thought that was pretty obvious that I didn't want them to bark, but nonetheless, it's created this irritation in me, right? So I've got this negative vibe going on, and so basically, when spring came, and the weather got warm. Now it's not real quiet outside anymore. People have the windows open. You can hear people talking through the windows. You can hear the mowers and the weed eaters and lots of kids running and playing outside. And so when I take my dogs out now, they just, as soon as it turned warm and all this noise came, they just wanted to bark at everything, single sound. And even through the winter, you know, if they happened to see somebody or hear a sound, but it was just not very often. And as soon as spring came, it just magnified. It was all this barking. I could stop them, but obviously as soon as I'm outside with them and they start barking at something or someone, then they're not really focusing on what we're there for. So I might as well go back inside and I'd take them back out, and this just creates more of a hassle for me. And I felt like it just kind of complicated my life. And I was holding this thing, right, about my neighbors that had created this whole desire to get my dogs barking at sounds. Okay, so you see how I'm blaming them and I'm judging them and I'm not taking responsibility. And so I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of how I see my puppies. So with this example, you can see that I am not experiencing this alone, right? I'm creating this vibration, because even before my neighbors did that, I even attracted that situation. If that makes any sense to you, I don't know, but the whole law of attraction idea is at work all the time. And the results of our thoughts are happening all the time. So when I already had this thing about my dogs not barking, and that would create irritation if it happened, even if it was at the front door. So I was putting out this vibe, right? And so I'm getting back. My neighbors are a real blessing. That's the whole point here. They're helping me see what vibration I'm putting out, okay? And so we're sharing the effects of what I see. I still don't understand people who like to hear dogs bark, but that's okay. I don't have to see that the same way as them. But that is another thing that I just want to realize. It's a mirror of myself. So we're either seeing ourselves in people and then we like that, or we're seeing things we don't like and then it's our shadow self that we're seeing. And we can learn from that. So that is what I wanted to share with you today, just to help you understand the value of this lesson. And if you take lesson 18 and it says to just look, the lesson recommends that you look around you at the things that you see in your environment and just notice it, but be random about what you choose, and don't spend more than a minute or so saying this phrase slowly while you look at that thing. So I could see over here my puppy's stroller, and so I could say I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of how I see my puppy's stroller. And then I would just notice it, but I wouldn't hurry and go to the next thing. I've been applying this to my day, this lesson throughout the day. I wasn't able to get to creating the video blog till later in the day, and that's okay. You can apply this whatever day you choose to do, whatever day you watch this, and take it into another day, or 2 or 3 days, whatever feels right for you.